Now, I'm not saying that James Carville is a barely functioning with nothing left of value in this world. I'm not saying that at all. I'm also not saying it's pointless to tar and feather him because he still sheds his skin twice a year. And I'm also not saying if James Carville choked to death on one of his morning feedings of live mice, he wouldn't be missed. Wow, it sure is fun to not say things. I'm going to start.
Greg Gutfeld just gave James Carville a one-way ticket to the intellectual woodshed. It was less of a debate and more of a comedic beatdown, delivered with surgical sarcasm and that trademark Gutfeld smirk. Carville's dusty political quips were shredded like old campaign flyers. This wasn't a discussion, it was a PSA titled, "Why Grandpa's Political Rants Don't Land Anymore." Carville tried to keep pace, but Gutfeld was already 3 punchlines ahead. Blink, and you'd miss the moment. Carville's credibility combusted live in high definition.
Bracing Pumpkinhead just yet. Carville's like a parent who doesn't say anything about his rotten brat until it affects him and crashes his Mercedes. This problem's been here for years. It's done untold damage. It's cost a lot of death. And now he calls BS on it? Thanks, but you're showing up at last call. Let's not forget what else he said. He said that people that go to Trump rallies are pretty much brain-dead deplorables. He said some pretty awful things. If he could call them retarded, he would have. So his criticisms actually hit everyone, and it doesn't come from a place of common sense or common people. It comes from an elitist perch. He's not a man of the people. He's a man protecting a system that paid him well. On the whole, he would prefer to jail a Trump supporter who stole a podium over an Antifa creep who burns a business. So there you go.
If you're enjoying this roast, don't forget to subscribe and smash that bell icon. It was like bringing a laser pointer to a disco ball fight. Carville came prepared for a sparring match, but Gutfeld performed intellectual surgery instead. He dismantled every sentence Carville uttered like a bored cat toying with a wind-up mouse. Carville, with his southern drawl and a Rolodex full of Clinton-era talking points, came in ready to rumble. What he got instead was a masterclass in why? Debating Gutfeld is like rapping from a teleprompter you'll never keep up. And for the record, Carville isn't some amateur just hopelessly outdated.
Strategist and hairless goblin James Carville trash talked his fellow Dems in our video of the day. Roll it, Agatha.
We keep wondering why these young people aren't coming home to the Democrats. Why blacks are not coming home to the Democrats? Because Democratic messaging is full of That's why.
Right.
Wow.
And talk about cost of living. And we're going to help deal with this. And don't talk about GAFA and student loans.
Kennedy, that nice little old lady is making some sense.
Right.
She really is.
She's such a gentle lesbian. What's her name?
This is the guy who helped get Bill Clinton into the White House and basically wrote the book on hard-hitting political spin, but that was a lifetime ago. The issue is, no one told Carville he's now the voice of the political past, yelling from the retirement home's front porch. Sure, he's still throwing around relics like it's the economy stupid, but the rest of us moved on or at least upgraded our Wi-Fi. There he was, puffed up with vintage confidence, dishing out reheated zingers. That might have crushed in 1994, but now sound like a old buffering a TikTok.
Carville looks like someone liberated him from a glass tank at Petco. Glad he's taking a break from hunting down Sigourney Weaver. But is he saying these people should be placed in pajamas, have their heads shaved, and march down Pennsylvania Avenue and spit on?
I'm not saying that these people should be placed in pajamas and have their heads shaved, march down Pennsylvania Avenue, and spit on. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying that did happen. And I'm saying that these people betrayed the French nation.
You could almost hear the mothballs rattle as he launched into another breathless monologue about the radical right destroying democracy. Never mind that he couldn't define radical if it walked up and Liv tweeted its bio. That's where Gutfeld came in. He doesn't just dismantle nonsense, he slow roasts it, wraps it in bacon, and serves it with a punchline. To Gutfeld, Carville wasn't a threat, he was target practice. From the first sentence, it was clear Carville wasn't engaging. In debate, he was catering to the cheap seats.
I feel like he's like a therapist to the Democrats. Democrats are like a patient. And he's just tired of their constant whining without actually doing the work that a therapist would tell you to do.
You know, the cable news crowd still dreaming about saxophones and town halls. But Gutfeld didn't bite, he stole the show. While Carville ranted about extremism, Gutfeld calmly pointed out that the real extremists are the ones insisting. Men can get pregnant, pretending the economy's booming while Americans rack up credit debt, and blaming Russian bots for everything from elections to bad ratings. Watching Carville try to keep up was like seeing someone swing at a hurricane. Each flail made Gutfeld smile wider. The real show began when Carville tried to play the "I've been doing this longer than you've been alive" card.
On the idea that there's like a Republican plant. What is wrong with that 10 or 15% of Democrats that everything that they say, this plant or whomever it is, it's a progressive, it's not a Republican. You know, let's mutilate kids. Let's put men and women's locker rooms, and let's make sure that we have these drag shows for kids. And they're like, yay! It's their fault. It's stupid. And he's right.
Dana, did I hear Jessica say that we should doge electric car sub?
Gutfeld didn't even blink. He calmly noted that longevity doesn't equal wisdom, it often just means you're old. With outdated stories, no one's buying anymore. Especially when all those stories end with, "and that's why we need more taxes." As Carville launched into one of his signature, red-faced tirades about misinformation, Gutfeld sat back like a guy listening to a toddler explain string theory, calm, amused, and thoroughly unimpressed. What flew in 92 flops in the TikTok age? Audiences aren't buying the sky is falling act anymore, especially when the same guy's been crying wolf since Blockbuster was charging late fees.
Is that Carville's right, because, you know, who's more likely, to get hit by lightning? Somebody who's sitting in their couch at home or somebody who goes out at night for a run? Anybody who actually takes action puts themselves at risk. And this is an administration that's always in action, always in play, a lot like you on the weekends.
Hard to see insight into, what Carville says. I don't know how he became the wise man of politics.
Nostradamus.
Carville came with rubber band arguments and slingshot, panic aimed at opponents who've stopped flinching when they hear the word racist. Gutfeld, by contrast, brought a drone strike, pinpoint logic, sharp wit, and a delivery so clean it didn't need shouting or desk pounding. Just precision. And once he tore apart Carville's lazy political playbook, he drilled deeper right into the absurdity of Carville's worldview. In that world, anything right of Bernie Sanders is fascism, and questioning authority gets you tagged as a threat to democracy. It's political math where 2 + 2 equals racism, and doubt equals sedition. Gutfeld didn't poke holes, he ripped it open and held the mess up for everyone to see.
James Carville's wondering if there's a plant in the party, pushing them to back the dumbest ideas possible. Watch.
It's like there's a plant somewhere in, quote, progressive, unquote, America that just sees how many stupid things that they can embrace. There has to be a AI-generated, progressive generator of really.
Carville and his ilk are lost in their own legends, still playing the lead in a play the audience left halfway through. Climate catastrophe, democracy collapse, economic apocalypse, it's the same doomsday playlist on repeat since dial-up internet. Gutfeld called it out for what it is, performance, art, Chicken Little with a campaign pin. And the voters Carville claims to understand they tuned out somewhere around the third point of no return. You can only hear this is the most important election of our lives so many times before it becomes background noise. Gutfeld didn't mock, he exposed. Not cruelly, but with pinpoint accuracy.
A certain coastal arrogance in this country, and people feel it. The Western far left is habitually the most stupid, naive people you can imagine. And they come up with these really goofy constructs, and it's all about feeling
One smirk, one line, one brutal takedown at a time. Gutfeld didn't just humiliate Carville, he exposed the crumbling structure behind him. The think tanks, the media nodding along, the pundits treating his every rant like gospel while ignoring their sides, censorship, fear, mongering, and disdain for ordinary Americans. Gutfeld reminded the audience, this isn't 1996. People want truth, not talking points. They want to be spoken to, not talked down to. Carville was speaking in outdated code. Gutfeld translated in real time and made people laugh while doing it. By the halfway mark, Carville looked less like a political pit bull and more like someone who joined the wrong Zoom call by accident.
Washington Post ran a fluff bomb celebrating centrist Democrat women, going gaga over their resumes, mom energy, and group chat chemistry. But in this journalistic stroke job, not a single policy position was mentioned, which is weird. That's like doing a profile on me and not mentioning my many bodybuilding awards. Thank you. So why is that? Why'd they bend so far backward to avoid a basic stance? Maybe because in the current state of their party, it's better just to keep your head down and to stay safe. They substitute substance with nicknames, the Mod Squad or the Badass Caucus. But it's fake.
Gutfeld never raised his voice. He just dropped truth bombs like banana peels, watching Carville stumble again and again. When Carville tried to pivot, pleading for unity and bipartisanship, Gutfeld pounced. Because nothing screams, let's work together, like decades of branding your opponents as racist and brainwashed. Unity doesn't come from lectures. It comes from listening, something Carville clearly hasn't done since floppy disks were trending. The best part, Gutfeld never broke a sweat. It was a live roast in disguise, and the audience was howling. You could hear the digital crowd nodding and sharing memes as Gutfeld turned Carville's rage into pure comedy.
President a month into his presidency than any president in United States history. That's the fact. I can be fact-checked. They can do whatever they want.
That's fine. We can go. This in 2025, he's at plus 4 points. Look where he was in 2017, his first term at this point. He was at minus 5 points, so he's doing nearly 10 points better on the average. And more than that, as I mentioned, it's not just the CBS News poll, it's the Ipsos poll, it's the Gallup poll, it's the Pew poll.
You're reading these polls, and I'm reading a poll saying the Democrats are 13 points up in the congressional generic, that Donald Trump has the lowest approval rating of any president at this point in his presidency in American history. So your viewers are getting one view, and I'm reading another view. So one of us is right and one of us is wrong.
He's in. Every single day, Donald Trump has been in positive territory compared to just 11 days during his first term.
It's not going to do any good for us to sit here and argue, because your viewers can believe you, and they can go to real clear politics, and they can act.
He doesn't yell, he doesn't rant. Gutfeld sets the trap, then lets the opponent walk right into the punchline. By the end, it wasn't a debate, it was a demolition. Carville looked like he'd lost an argument with his GPS. Gutfeld just warming up, no notes. No damage, just another political fossil flattened by modern satire. But this wasn't just about Carville, it was about the entire machine keeping guys like him relevant. The pundits, the think tanks, the echo chambers. Gutfeld didn't just embarrass one man, he pulled back the curtain on an ideology that's way past its Selby date.
Dems aren't losing the black and Hispanic vote. They're losing the black and Hispanic men, right? Why don't they break that down, that men are fleeing the Democratic Party like it's a showing of Barbie? It's because it's terrifying to them that they're becoming the party of awfuls, right? Affluent, white, female liberals. The Democratic Party has become like almost like a political version of the Bud Light commercial with Dylan Mulvaney. They've alienated men in order to please miserable activists. And men are like, hey, we know when we're not wanted. We'll see ourselves out. We know what a woman is, right? We know what's best for our kids. We know what it takes to protect our cities and our families. And we're tired of apologizing for laughing at funny jokes and at having natural testosterone, right? So they know that the Democratic Party has become a gender-specific party.
The Democratic Party, as Gutfeld pointed out, is starting to resemble a gender studies seminar with a PR crisis. It's like a political Bud Light ad alienating men to appease loud activists. And men, they've noticed. They know what a woman is. They know how to raise their kids, and they're done apologizing for laughing at the wrong jokes or having testosterone. Gutfeld wasn't playing the nostalgia game. He came armed with reality, wit, and modern clarity. While Carville pushed recycled panic, Gutfeld delivered truth with teeth. This wasn't just a generational clash, it was a wake-up call. If you're still quoting Reagan in 2025, you're not the voice of wisdom. You're the rerun nobody requested. And in Gutfeld's world, reruns don't get canceled. They get replaced.